In North America, we're blessed with many opportunities to give gifts. We give presents to our friends and loved ones on Christmas, on Mother's Day, on Father's Day, for bar mitzvahs, bas mitzvahs, on Secretary's Day, Women's Day, Valentine's Day, anniversaries, birthdays, showers, housewarming parties, graduation, and retirement ceremonies. The cynics among us may suggest that this is all just a consumerist plot. Be that as it may, gift-giving is an interesting fact of life. But we don't often reflect on what gift-giving is, or what its various mutations might be. Let's take a few minutes to do this. To start, let's define a gift as giving something that is not expected or required, and also giving something without any expectation of getting anything back. If the other person expects to get a gift, it's not a gift, it's a ritual. If there's expectation on the giver's side of reciprocity, of getting something in return, it's not a gift, it's an exchange. So let's try to think of gifts as a one-sided, unexpected gesture. Second, gifting has, or should have, the distinctly human quality to it of freely giving. It has something to do with satisfying, nurturing, or celebrating. It's not part of an economic system. It seems to be connected to loving and caring. With this in mind, let's take a not-too-serious look at a dozen different ways of giving gifts. Our aim is simply to help you the next time you have to find that special something for that special someone. The simplest way to give a successful gift is to ask the recipient directly what he or she would like. This guarantees that the recipient won't be disappointed and that your time and money will be well spent. If all of us would simply give what is asked for, it would seem that happiness would be universal and disappointment would be eliminated. Let's check this out. Product manufacturers, whether of video games or automobiles or cosmetics, all argue that they develop their products based on what people say they want in focus groups. So, whatever we may think of the products when it comes time to choose one as a gift, we can be sure that the manufacturers are innocent. They create what we ask for. If you suspect there's a short circuit in this argument somewhere, you're probably one of those people who doesn't like to give gifts by simply asking what your loved one would like. The short circuit, according to such people, is that the gift cannot transcend the emotional and imaginative boundaries of the recipient. Let's see what the results of this gift-giving method are when applied universally to an entire planet. Planet Earth may not be our best choice. There is a planet that operates entirely on this system. It gives what is asked for, no more and no less. This planet is the planet Satis in the Andromeda Galaxy. All its inhabitants tell each other what gifts to give, and all are satisfied when they get them. Its architects follow this procedure exactly, and all apartment buildings are utterly mundane and boring, but each has 5 bathrooms, a hot tub, and a 42-inch wall-mounted television. Visitors to this planet are often dismayed by the lack of variety in its culture, but end up satisfied after a nice, long hot tub session. Another way to give a gift is not to ask what someone wants, but to figure out what they truly desire. This method operates on the hypothesis that people should get what they desire, but that they may be hesitant to reveal what they truly desire, fearing it's too exotic, too personal, or too expensive. The tricky part of this method of gift-giving is that you have to know the recipient fairly well, perceive his or her actions, and deduce their true desires. This can be fun, or it can be crazy-making, depending on how perceptive you are and how transparent the recipient is. If handled well, giving what is desired can create great joy and establish warm bonds between you and the recipient. If done badly, the recipient may no longer want to see you. The planet Derridol in the Orion Nebula operates entirely on this system. There are two main continents, and all the successful desire perceivers and desire recipients live ecstatically on one continent, making love most of the time. And all the failed desire perceivers and desire recipients live miserably on the other, spending their time doing laundry and accounting. Many people see a thing that they would love to have for themselves and decide to give it as a gift to someone else. Giving what you yourself desire seems sanctioned by the adage, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." Despite the spiritual truth contained in this injunction, there are many women with power drills and men with napkin sets who can attest to the dangers of this gift-giving method. Yet it goes on. Especially on the planet Myopia, in the Hercules globular cluster. Here, gift-giving is seen solely as the expression of the giver's desires, and the recipient is expected to thereby learn something about the giver. Once a year, all the gifts are given back to the givers by the receivers, in a week-long mass celebration of unparalleled joy, during which time retailers exhibit their entire new stock of desirable items for the coming year. Some people see gift-giving as an opportunity to supply someone with something they truly need, but can't manage to get for themselves. Food banks operate on this premise, and many people give to charity in a recipient's name. Some even give money, clothing, or food directly to a recipient in need. Some might question what kind of social system would permit some to live in need and others to live in abundance, and might go so far as to suggest that gift-giving in such a system is corrupted by the very social inequalities that make charity gifts necessary. Realizing this, the inhabitants of the planet Equilibrium, in the constellation Pisces, developed a social system so balanced that whenever someone indicates the slightest need, someone else runs over with a gift that brings that person right back up to the social standard. Inventors of new products are assured of selling their gadgets to the entire population, and the economy of equilibrium is booming. Some persons of a spiritual persuasion think that giving a gift should not be a superficial gesture, but should actually have some meaning, have some impact on the giver. Such people try to give something valuable to themselves, something they themselves need and would miss. As the loss is felt, the giving is felt. While not too common on planet Earth, there are recorded instances of people giving things they need to others. Climbers giving the last morsels of food to their comrade. Desert trekkers passing the last drops of water to their friend. Religious workers selling their last possessions to feed the poor. Such gift-giving is a form of sacrifice. There's a well-known fable on the planet Economies in the Hydra cluster about such sacrificial giving. There were two Pekingese, a man and a woman, who were very poor, but each wanted to give a gift to the other. The only thing the woman had was her long, lovely hair, which she had cut and sold for a new watch band to give her husband. The only thing the man had was a watch, which he traded for a hairpin for his wife. The inhabitants of Economies thought long and hard about sacrificial gift-giving and decided that it's actually a spiritual art form, and if properly carried out, leaves both the giver and the recipient in a state of grace, although not necessarily in a state of satisfaction. The Pekingese Global Council has a fund to reward such spiritual practice. One option for gift-giving is to give something beautiful. Never mind what you personally would like or what they may need. Give them something absolutely beautiful. Everyone appreciates a little beauty in their lives. The gift of beauty is what makes some architects great. They build what is required, then add some beauty as a gift to the city. Their delight in beauty becomes our delight in beauty, their gift to us. On planet Earth, we can see such gifts everywhere, from the minuscule to the majestic. Beauty has the unusual property that it can't be desired or wanted or needed. You can't say, "I want beauty." You could say, "I want a beautiful teapot," but you can't form an image of it in your mind. You don't know what teapot it will be until you see it. Then you can say, "This is a beautiful teapot, and I want it." The beauty you find in the teapot is a gift the teapot maker gave you, and now you can give it to somebody else. Recognizing the undesirable property of beauty, the inhabitants of Euphoria in the constellation Cygnus only give gifts that contain beauty. Certain in their hearts that nobody could desire their gifts, but that everyone will appreciate them when they see them, Euphorian craftsmen build beauty into everything they make, from toothpicks to steam irons. It is said visitors to Euphoria begin weeping the moment they arrive, and take sacks of Euphorian nail clippers home with them when they leave. Finding a beautiful gift is not that difficult. Finding a dream gift is something else. A dream gift is something through which we can dream. Somehow it gathers up our fantasies, our feelings, our hopes and desires, and for a tiny moment creates a state of dream magic in our soul. We've all come across such objects. Maybe it's an earthenware vase with sky colors and earth colors, and the texture of a dried pond bottom. Maybe it's a carved and polished opal egg that flashes differently as it's turned in the light. Maybe it's a woven silk blouse that sings of the clouds. Maybe it's an exotic car. Whatever it is, it may be beautiful, it may be expensive, it may be small, it may be humble, but it makes us dream. The planet Hypnotheria orbits 2 tiny suns in the Pleiades cluster. Usually, nights are 16 hours long and days are 5 hours long. Every 3 weeks, though, the 2 suns come close together and there are 2 days of 42 hours straight sunlight. Because the Hypnotherians sleep and dream a lot, being awake for 42 hours is a bit of a strain. To compensate, during this period they give each other dream objects. The thing is, the most valued dream objects are the most simple and humble ones. So Hypnotherian craftspeople work long 5-hour days trying to create the most original, humble, plain, and unimaginably enticing dream objects they can. So far, the most prized object on Hypnotheria, safely guarded in the Dream Museum, is a small silver pin with a rotating bezel of pure enthrallium. In any large city, everyone pretty much knows what's for sale. And they also know pretty much what everything is good for. So most gifts are immediately put into use or stuck on a shelf and forgotten. One unique way of giving a gift is to find something the recipient definitely doesn't know about. This is a unique gift because it enlarges the recipient's awareness of the world and might cause them to wake up and wonder a bit and maybe become less complacent and blasé about everything. But there are no stores selling unknown objects, and this is just the beginning of the problem. Since we're looking for something unknown, we not only don't know where to look for it, we may not recognize it when we come across it. It used to be that travelers could travel to Africa or Mesopotamia or Patagonia and bring back a nunchakus or a guanaco blanket and amaze their loved ones with gifts they had not imagined existed. Nowadays, everything is for sale on eBay, and local craftspeople in remote swamps are struggling to get their products into Walmart. Is there anything left we don't know? The inhabitants of the planet Unicus in the Cassiopeia system were faced with this problem many centuries ago. It was relieved when they developed interstellar travel, but after 300 years, everyone got bored with the junk they brought back. So it was decided that the best way to give an unknown gift was to create something truly strange and original. No copies were ever made of such objects, and Unicans now spend time visiting one another's homes to see the strange and unique objects their friends have collected. Usually, gifts are given to friends and loved ones. There's a relationship being celebrated in the gift. Ideally, the gift could somehow symbolize the bond. There's no satisfying of desires, no attempt at beauty or surprise, just a statement of the bond of friendship. So we find intellectuals giving each other books, and musicians giving each other recordings, and derelict artists giving each other alcohol or ashtrays. The gift expresses the nature of the bond these people are able to have with one another, and the respect they have for each other's lives. Giving a symbolic bond is fine for most relationships, but becomes problematic when the relationship is problematic. People in difficult or burned-out relationships still feel the need or have the obligation to give a gift, but what can they do? On planet Earth, the solution falls into one of three categories. The utterly defeated will purchase a mundane token of a gift, like an electric kettle, expressing the loss of the magic bond. The utterly hopeful will purchase a sparkling memory of true connection, like a piece of jewelry, while the utterly honest will purchase something that expresses the conflict directly, like a big black candle of despair. On the planet Mythos, however, the residents of the Triangulum constellation always search for rebonding gifts. Gifts that say, yes, we failed to connect as we should, but here's a path we haven't tried. The Mythians are celebrated for their optimism and inventiveness, and Mythian shops are filled with curious rebonding gifts, like numinous hypnotic spiderwebs, and shifting dream pillows, and sandstorm massage baths. These gifts are so powerful that Mythian shoppers have to go in one at a time to avoid becoming involved with a complete stranger. One unrecognized way of giving a gift is to give what the recipient actually hates. Ordinarily, this happens by accident rather than by design. All of us have received a hideous vase, an unreadable book, nauseous music, or a piece of kitsch that we immediately hide or throw away. But deliberately giving a hateful gift can be a valid option. What we hate usually expresses a hidden shadow side of us, a place beyond our normal boundaries, a place of discomfort we fear to enter. So, giving pleasant gifts that keep a person in his or her comfort zone may not be a real gift at all. Perhaps a true gift offers them the opportunity of shifting and growing. If you think about it, lovers, teachers, therapists, and artists give these gifts all the time. The list of artists whose gifts were immediately hated is endless. Debussy, Picasso, any and all avant-garde artists faced the wrath of their audiences. Teachers like Gurdjieff, McLuhan, Jesus were reviled for their uncompromising stance, yet became loved and respected many decades later. Therapists don't accept the comfortable monologues of their clients. They move them out of their comfort zones to give them new perspectives on themselves. And honest lovers, dedicated to mutual growth, true love and understanding, put each other in difficulty all the time. No pain, no gain. So giving a hated gift is not only possible, it may be the greatest gift of all. As far as we know, the only place where hateful gift-giving is widely practiced is on the tiny planet Gestalto in the Pegasus constellation. Now, the Gestaltians have feelings like everybody else in the universe, and so elaborate precautions are taken when gifts are given. Gifts are never given in private. There must be a therapist and a spiritual healer present, and all hold hands at the moment of gifting. The violent reactions of the recipient are recorded, and 10 years later, when the recipient has come to love the gift, this recording is replayed to everyone's amusement. It could be argued that the actual giftiness of any gift lies in its unexpected quality of transcendence, its ability to lift the recipient out of the expected into a transcendent moment of joy, to create a tiny epiphany. And since epiphanies are actually cosmic moments, penetrating to the divine nature of the universe, such gifts don't really belong to anyone at all. They're meant to be shared and experienced by all conscious, feeling beings. So, one way of giving a gift is to pass on your last epiphany, to pass on the book that lifted your spirits, the opal egg that delighted you, the song that made you weep, the tiny painting of a cottage in the wilderness that moved your soul. This kind of gift-giving is unusual in that it contains virtually all the ways of giving a gift we've explored. It speaks to our desires, our dreams, our bonds, our needs. It offers beauty, it involves self-sacrifice, and it risks being hated. Some of us have given such a gift, and some of us have received such a gift. The rewards are always more in the giving than in the receiving. The inhabitants of the planet Utopo in the constellation Lyra have come to the conclusion that all retail outlets are actually epiphany prisons, unreasonably holding gifts hostage for ransom, and have accordingly banned all retail sales. What was once their main upscale boutique zone has become an epiphany exchange commons, and they've shifted the planet entirely to a gift economy. Utopian visitors to Earth have been trying to explain their gift economy to perplexed earthling economists. Philosophers, artists, and depth psychologists have argued that everything we see is a reflection of ourself, and everything we do is a reflection of ourself, and everything we create is a reflection of ourself. If this is true, then any gift we give is a reflection of ourself. No matter what we do, we end up giving a reflection of ourself. Any gift is us giving a piece of ourselves to another person. If the person likes the gift, then they like that piece of us. If they hate the gift, then they hate that piece of us. The logic of this seems inescapable. It seems that our only choice, as gift givers, is how small or how big a piece of us we're prepared to give to another. If we're hesitant to give of ourselves, the recipient will end up with a pair of socks, knowing only our taste and hosiery. If we're generous in giving of ourselves, the recipient will know our greatest dreams. Taken to extreme, the misers among us will give nothing of themselves, while the saints among us will give entirely of themselves. And the curious thing is The misers seem to have less and less to give, while the saints seem to have more and more to give. The inhabitants of the planet Sangralia, in the small Magellanic Cloud, have decided that all gift-giving is really a limited, fragmented, and distorted process, inferior to being fully present in the divine here and now with another living, breathing, quasi-human being. So they've banned their versions of Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, retirement ceremonies, and all other gift-giving occasions. When a visiting dignitary offers them a gift, the Sangralians accept it without comment, as though someone had accidentally farted. And later, after having given fully of themselves to the visiting stranger, they discreetly return the gift to the newly enlightened and somewhat embarrassed giver. Existence, they say, is the greatest gift of all. As we've seen, most methods of gift-giving involve some form of transcendence and love, going beyond what's expected and establishing a bond between the giver and the recipient. This distinguishes love from economics, distinguishes gifting from exchange. In economics, if you give value, you expect equal or more value in return. In gifting, you expect joy or relatedness. So while gifting is transcendent and bonding, exchange is based solely on reciprocation and value. You can take a moment to check yourself privately to see whether you're usually a lover or an economist. While gifting and economics seem contradictory, some earthlings are trying to develop the idea of a gift economy. An economy based on giving things away freely and receiving things freely. Not the same things, not at the same time, and not of the same value. Reciprocity is expected to be achieved over the long term in an atmosphere of trust. Proponents of gift economies like to point out that gift economies have long existed on planet Earth. Families are gift economies. Charities, blood banks, scientific research, Wikipedia, shareware, open source development, all gift economies. So why don't we make gift economies universal? Why don't we replace competition with nurturing? After all, the root meaning of the word community is muni, meaning gift. Undertaking a gift economy would require radical paradigm shifts in our value system. We would need to begin to see all humankind as our family in order to establish trust and caring. We would need to begin to value contributions to others more than valuing possessions. We would need to accord status to those who give more rather than those who have more. We would have to redefine excellence in terms of thoughtful contributions to society. We would need to require contribution and vision from those with surplus wealth. We would need to expect contribution and vision from those with no wealth at all. We would have to redefine our sense of self in more social ways. And we would have to replace the desire for profit and power with a desire for trust and bonding. Such a system would certainly have a liberating effect on the poor. It would not only remove indenture over those in poverty, it would remove the social control banks and corporations exercise over anyone in debt. It's a possible exercise for gift economists to calculate whether there's enough wealth in the world to permit such a redistribution, and whether the net worth of each human being justifies giving to them when they initially have little to give back. That should be an interesting calculation. What confounds the calculation is that half the people on the planet have no means to develop their talents. Who knows what abilities, visions, inspirations, innovations remain dormant in the human pool of creativity? It may be in the planet's interest to gift them now, so they may one day be able to gift us more. A starving Somalian girl may find a new way to heal. A poor Philippine boy may develop a quantum chip. Not using our potential talents is a tragedy in the age of information. With global communications beginning to link more and more people into networks, it's possible that sharing may eventually succeed profit as an economic paradigm. In the meantime, we can all practice tiny acts of giving just to see how it feels. And if we like it, we can find plenty of occasions and at least a dozen ways to do it again.